architecture. Color seems self-evident and uncomplicated. It is one of the most accessible elements of any visual language. But its use and meaning changes alongside culture and technology, reflecting back to us the current zeitgeist. No more is this true today than in contemporary architecture. The title Color Correction comes from and inspired by a publication for Law 49 that I wrote with one of my alumni actually, Christina Gray. The text argues that for too long, architectural theory was disseminated through a sort of selection of black and white photographs and read the text in support of an idea of a canon. But the digital term, the screen that we all use to design, has fundamentally altered how architecture interacts with colors, thus opening the door to new, vibrant sensibilities. While the use of black and white was part of a strict and prescriptive architectural narrative, the colors in the chromatic spectrum are subjective, allowing for a wider set of sensibilities that has made new uses of color a symbol of diversity and inclusivity. The use of color in architecture is a mirror of our diverse reality, but over the last decade, it has grown into something more powerful, becoming both a mode of working and a political proposition. If architects today must engage with the full color spectrum, then the question of what they might mean for our creative field is unavoidable. As a consequence, using color in architecture, particularly as coupled with digital term, presents us with the opportunity to dispense with previously accepted norms, question the canon, and provide a method for moving forward with design that seeks to interact with a wider audience. Color invites participation, and because of the use and shades carry a host of associations and histories that differ across cultures. Their interpretation differs from person to person. Recognizing the desire for color presents a powerful opportunity to embrace a diverse coalition of people into our field. Color's popularity, together with associated possibilities, creates an opportunity to investigate new and deeper connections with an audience. And tonight, I'll talk to you about those 5 most influencing color trends that I think have meaning today in design and architecture. Color today is emissive, is viral, is expressive, it's engaged, it's ecological. Color is emissive. I think we all agree that we spend a lot of time on our devices, either our phone or our screens, and as designers, probably we spend the most time on these devices. That's why I'm saying color today is emissive. Traditional color, often composed of physical pigments and material, is usually reflective. In part of my practice, at the beginning of my practice, material were used because of the color they had, and there was a certain level of truthfulness and earnestness in the way in which they were deployed. Either it was ceramic, or it was gold, or if it was crystal was transparent, or if it was silver was reflective, or again, any kind of color would somehow be obtained through a change of the material itself, like anodizing, a voltage change, that would change the surface itself of the material. And these, I would say, are not emissive color. These are more traditional color, understanding that that is how, as architects, using material we can work. But however, I think increasingly designers are working with digital colors, simply because we are in front of the screen all the time, and that's our device through which we see the world, we design our realities, and we design our proposal for new realities. These are not determined by the presence of specific minerals or compounds. Instead, these colors are the products of technology's ability to emit specific light wavelengths. Basically, we look at digital colors as emissive because we design in front of a screen that beams light in our eyes. And so even when we look at reality like in this video, we look at through the lens of the screen is in front of us. And so we produce and consume design through these manifold digital interfaces, and we end up creating a desire from them. The average designer spends 7 hours and 4 minutes a day staring into the screen. And as a consequence of this transition from reflective to emissive spectra, this becomes truly a revolution because our screens have become the spaces of our addiction and imagination. And we more and more want to see this digital design into the reality we create. And so some of the work that I will share tonight is really about the emissiveness of color, deals with the idea of digital design that brings desire for this reflectivity, this illumination, this livelihood in the color, and most of all, the reflection of ourselves into this digital world. This color are emissive because they're becoming working canvases for our digital experience, shaping our perception and understanding of architectural design and production. The vibrancy of emisted light contributes to the visual allure that draws us into our display-driven lifestyles. Today, the digital spectrum has quickly replaced analog color wheels as it offers designers a broader palette to work with and foster a demand for its unrealistic brilliance. And this is just an example of how digital colors then become analog through the work of architecture. And how then the layering between materiality and digital prints creates the lure of the emissiveness of colors in reality. Color is viral. In our age of ever-shortening text and image trafficking, color-saturated architectural renderings have invaded our viral feeds asking for a like. The widespread appeal of chromatic spaces emitted from the screen has sparked a yearning for real-world encounters with these vibrant spaces. We are now starting to see glimmers of a new kind of color gamut entering the built environment, one that artfully layers vibrant digital behaviors and emergent internet aesthetics into a new genre of surface that put a different spin on architectural design. An example of viral color is this project we've done for Elena. It's one of the clients with 8 stores in China and Hong Kong, where we worked on shopping windows, shops and interiors, and where the digital color invaded the backgrounds for objects and clothing and displays. And not only the colors became printed, but also they became an AR app for the phones, which I will show you right now. And so color is viral because it wants to have a bigger footprint than just the place in which it's printed. In this case, for instance, the idea was that whoever passes in front of the shopping windows can open the app, take pictures, take a video, share it online. And the idea is basically that as architects, nowadays we need to not only consider the public space, the physical space of architecture, but also the way in which those images are trafficked and disseminated among others. The creative output of this project really flourishes on the viral likes and spontaneous response to pedestrians and consumers, and the dynamic audience that really has this appetite and demand for photogenic settings. And today we can walk through museums virtually, we can download books from the library on our phones, we can play board games with our friends online, and reach a wider audience through the internet than we ever could before. And this is why I think design is viral today, because it truly starts opening up to a different kind of audience and location. And this was one of the projects in which, again, it's an artwork that becomes alive through an augmented reality app. Or similarly, this was a gate designed by Manferdini in Los Angeles for a hotel. And again, this is a cabinet of wonders. And it plays with the notion of the door as a place of discovery and wonder. And again, the cell phone and the social media are the component that make this project viral. Or another project we've done for children library, where again, patterns and floors become alive through an augmented reality app. is expressive. The sky is not blue. What we think of as color is our brain's response to different wavelengths of light. In fact, blue is in the eye of the beholder, and most scientists believe that nothing is really color at all. This is a project almost finished called Invisible for Dominion Energy. It's a substation to transfer energy from high voltage to low voltage, and again wants to use color as an expression of something that is invisible, like electricity, as unseen and yet essential, an essential aspect of our lives. And the project uses color in a big way on the facade through tiles. And I'll show you some examples in which you can start seeing how the expressiveness of color find its physicality through the work of architecture. Incorporating color into the conception and design of buildings requires a deep understanding of the nuanced ways in which it interacts with others in the spectrum. Chromatically extroverted structures like this one illustrate a mastery with the way in which material run the gamut of digital into physical interpretations. Color can go from the exterior of a building to the interior of a project. These are examples in which drawings of hundreds of colors occupy the intimate space of the interiority of a project through racks and textiles. Color invites, as I said, participation. It has many uses, carry a lot of association, and in this case, started to produce a set of custom rugs. Again, these are just dyes, just to show how many colors it takes for this expressiveness of colors, and how a drawing that could look like tiles on a facade can also start occupying the domestic space of the home. Color is engaged. Today, color is not only a cultural provocation, it's also a political proposition. White, black, brown, yellow, red, pink, blue, green have evolved beyond mere aesthetic consideration to take on profound urgencies which reflect the diversity of a society and embrace broader cultural and social dimensions. This is a small project for Upper Humphrey Comprehensive Health Center in downtown Los Angeles. It's a healthcare facility serving a population that does not have health insurance, and for the past 40 years operated and in service of the weakest part of our society. The facility was named in honor of Cooper Humphrey, who served as Vice President in the United States. The project has been designed with the intent to create a strong relationship with the iconic green color bands of the Cooper Humphrey building and the complete facade, and create also an uplifting experience for people lining up in the morning to get service. And for more than 40 years, this Cooper Humphrey Comprehensive Health Center has served patients in South Los Angeles. COL, therefore, I think has become a vehicle to express cultural identity, heritage, and history. Architects are increasingly incorporating colors that are emblematic of specific communities, contributing to a more inclusive and expansive architectural landscape. Another example of color as inclusive is this project for the Zev Yaroslavsky Family Support Center in Los Angeles. It's a project that consolidates 7 Los Angeles County Health and Human Services programs into one multi-agency location. The center works to enhance the well-being of children and families. Services offered at the center focus on human health, safety, economic well-being, and workforce readiness. And combining these diverse services, you offer a better service to the people that come to this place, which usually are people that are in trouble. And so what we've designed is a choreograph of art installation, permanent glazing and ceiling for a space that needs to be uplifting and work with the social worker needs in mind. And in particular, I'll show you the way in which we work with the facade. This facade is a glazing that divides the outside of the building from the inside of the building. It needs to create a sense of protection and privacy for the interior of the building where children get united with their families, but on the other side needs to be transparent and needs to be uplifting. And this is just a note of how the project becomes this curtain that changes in transparency and produces 2 different effects towards the inside and the outside of the project. Sunlight hits the glass and changes from transparent to opaque. And so color is engaged in the way also in which encompasses the audience that it tries to serve. It's a reflection and is starting to be an uplifting experience for the many. Finally, we're getting to the 5th point of digital color today. Color is ecological. Green has become a buzzword in architecture, but this color is employed more for its rhetoric value rather than a sincere commitment to sustainable design principles. And I wanted to bring today one example that is not actually my work, that I thought was intriguing, which is how color can improve the energy efficiency of buildings The choice of a shade for exteriors and interiors, for example, can impact heat absorption and energy consumption. And this is one of the examples that I thought was interesting, is the use of light color surfaces in urban areas is a practical example of solar albedo modification, which is really trying to change the reflectivity of a surface and lower its heat, basically, its heat absorption, and therefore helping with issues about temperature. And so this is an example of how in Los Angeles they're doing some of this work. They're using reflective material called cool seal on asphalt roads to make them less absorbent to the heat and try to reduce the urban heat island effect. And on a much smaller version, apparel and furniture, we're trying to use recyclable plastics, like in this case, companies, something that has been designed in the office, actually somebody that is in the audience designed this, and as technology that uses recycled plastics and also is fully recyclable as well. In the same way that one could use recyclable plastic for furniture. And so, again, I think colors can be ecological. So the function of color ultimately is not to present a distinct vision of the world, but to prompt people to imagine another world for themselves and its full range of possibilities. The last project that I will present is a project where I use color in a big way. It's for a boat in Japan called Bianca, where we designed the exterior and the interior of the cruise boats. Everything outside is metallic or reflective to engage with the color of the environment, whereas the interior has been printed like the three different horizons that you see when you are on the boat itself. Either you're close to the ocean, or you're mid-air in the horizon, or in the sky. And so the project really tried to embrace the idea of floor and ceiling, transferring this idea of environment and colors into the space. It was a project where I would color in a big way, with multiple materials, and tried to fit them all. And everything that was vertical in this boat was either white or black or chrome, reflective, so that the colors from the ceiling and from the floor would leak into the space. And all the surfaces of the restrooms and stairs and restaurants were actually white. So the feeling was that colors would bleed into the space and would invade the color in the columns. And again, these boats are used mainly to look at nature around the Lake Biwa, and in this case, the cherry blossom season. So color today is emissive, viral, expressive, engaged, and ecological. And as with any good list, this chromatic manifesto is by no means comprehensive and embraces its own obsolescence, clearing the way for future visions and stakeholders. And this is just a final video of my work into the Pacific Design Center, which is a very colorful building by Susan Pelli. 4 different RGB colors containing the production of Elena Manferdini.
Thank you, Elena. Watching it at the console and we realize that colors could mean so much, but they still speak the same language, be it the Western world or the Eastern world. I think it's not just colors, but also our emotions.